Yeah, on here, channel 2.
It's not. There.
Oh, it was on earlier. That's strange.
So when is this charging?
Yeah. When I tap the mic, we're good.
No, you're good.
All right, guys, can you hear me now? I sure hope so.
Sounds good. Yep.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sparrow Quilt Company Stash Busters series. I'm just going to try and repeat everything I just said because none of you heard any of that. Happy Monday to you all. My name is Bradie, and I am so happy that you are here to join me while we sew along on this awesome quilt that you see behind me. It is called Undone, and it is the third quilt in our Stash Busters series. Now, I got an email over the weekend and someone said, what exactly is Stash Busters about? I don't quite get it. And it turned out that this quilter was a newer quilter and she hadn't quite accumulated a stash, so to speak, just yet. So I always like to kind of revamp and review what exactly our goals are here in the Stash Busters series. So this was an idea that we came up with back in December as an effort to help quilters use up their stash. It's something we're all guilty of as quilters. We fall in love with fabric and we absolutely have to have it. And we buy all these bits and pieces. Sometimes they're larger, right, Kathy? Like 9 meters, and you got to have the whole darn bolt. And we just end up with all this fabric and it just clutters our home. It clutters our mind. We're not finishing anything. So like I said, this is an effort to help you get inspired, help you get creative with simple, easy patterns that you can make using the fabrics that you already have at home. I'm not trying to get you to go out and buy a bunch of new stuff. I want you to use up what you have on hand if you can, because I know that feeling. I get a lot of guilt from all the fabric that I've accumulated and projects that I've not finished, because we all know fabric is not cheap. These tools that we invest in, not cheap. Our time is also worth something. So if you have begun a quilt and you just need a little kick in the pants, what I want you to do is set up your sewing machine while you're watching this show with me and just sew. Just sew and be inspired and find and make that time for yourself to be a little bit creative. And I think that you will find that your guilt starts to go away and you start feeling a bit happier because you are creating beautiful things. And spring is here and soon you won't have any time to be in your sewing room. All these nasty snowstorms are going to pass and you will want to be out in the sunshine. So let's sew now while winter is still here. Did you guys get any snow this weekend? We sure did. We had a really good dump overnight Friday and all day Saturday. There was a big 20-car pileup out on one of the major highways here around the city. So I'm glad that I was not a part of that. It is much better to be at home sewing where you're safe, right? And using up all your stash. So like I said, we're going to get to the Undone quilt pattern, which you see behind me. I'm going to do some catch-up sewing today. I didn't have a chance to touch anything this weekend. Sorry, that's a lie. I did bind the next quilt in our series. It's going to be called Round the Rail, and it's a simple little twin-size quilt. I made a matching set for our 2 youngest boys, and I will be starting that probably Friday, maybe next Monday. We'll see how this one goes and all the catching up. But I thought, just for fun, for something a little different, I would show you a couple of cool things that we've recently gotten in at the studio. And my question for today, before I get too far and forget that I want to ask, is do you use a design wall in your studio? And if so, what kind is it? Have you just kind of made your own design wall? Are you just pinning blocks to the wall? Have you bought one of those fancy freestanding ones? That's what I'm after. So I want to know what type of design wall you are using and how you like it, because I want to invest in one. I'm reluctant to pin things into the walls in this house where we are currently, so I really need to have a freestanding one. So like I said, please share your thoughts with me in regards to that, and let me know where you're watching from. I'm always curious to see where everybody is from. And have you joined our Sparrow Quilt Co daily group yet? We have quite a few quilters who have been watching along and participating in all of our patterns. First we did Stay Centered, then we did Almost Houndstooth, and now we are working on Undone. But the Sparrow Quilt Co daily group is for all of you to share your patterns and share your quilts that you've made from our patterns. Of course, if you're not part of the group, then please feel free to email them to us at info@sparrowquiltco.com. You can tag us in your Instagram post showing those quilts, or you can send them to us in the Facebook private. Love to see them, and we love to share your quilts. So we had a few finishes over the weekend. It looks like we'll be finding someone to quilt their Undone quilt. I've seen at least 2 or 3 now that are finished, and so one of those quilters will be winning some free long arm quilting services so that we can finish that quilt up for you, and then you can get using it, because we all know a quilt is not a quilt until it's quilted. And don't forget, guys, that we have the special running on long arm quilting right now. If you send us 3 quilts, you will save 20%, and that is pretty good savings, in my opinion anyways. So a couple of cute things that I just wanted to show you. When we were in Houston, we came across this booth, and it was called Colorworks, and they had these cute little TV patterns, and I just fell in love with it, and I could not stop thinking about it. And so just a couple weeks ago there, I contacted Linda and Carl down at Colorworks, and I had them send me several of their patterns. And this one you can see is called Mod TV, and I just think it is the cutest little thing ever. So I'm going to be sending that one out to Darcy very soon, and getting her to stitch that up for us. I thought it might look kind of neat in blacks and whites and grays as well. You know, color TV wasn't always the rule. They started out in black and white, so I think it would kind of be a nice tribute to that style of television as well. And see the little antennas on top? Hopefully you can see those. But it is very simple, and I'm sure this would whip up really quick using some fusible web and just some simple applique. So that is something that you can find on the website at sparrowquiltco.com. We also did some videos last week on how to cut circles, and I showed a couple of different tools. Some of them were the, one is called the True Cut 360, and it is got a pivot on it, and then the blade swings around in a circle, which is pretty slick and really easy to use. The other one is a non-slip grip quarter circle, and so you would fold your fabric into 4s, and you could cut the quarter circle, which would result, of course, in a larger circle. The pattern I was referencing in that video is called Bubblicious, and it is by Claudia File. We also have those on the website, so if you're interested, be sure to check that out as well. And another nice book that we are offering lately, the publisher accidentally sent us 2 shipments of these, so I have got a load of these Charm School books, and I really like the patterns in here. They're all based on charm squares. Can they see that screen there, Elle? Okay. It just froze.
So I'm just kidding.
So I probably can't hear anything that I've said?
No, you can hear.
Okay, good.
The mic is on this one.
Okay. Things are freezing up. So I've got a couple of quilts here. They can see your phone now. So here I'm showing you one called Chandelier. I'm absolutely in love with this one. It is so pretty. It's got that cool kind of large square, small square alternating look, which I really like. This one was really nice as well. But the one I really want to do. Oh, I've got these actual fabrics, so I'm thinking about making that one as well. Hopefully you guys can see that the light shining on the page isn't too much.
If you want to go closer to the camera, that might help.
Okay. I will lift this up as soon as I find the one I'm really after. Ooh, this is one here too that I really like. So this one's called Scrap Happy, and it would be awesome for using up all of our little mini charms or any scraps that we've got that are maybe just 2.5-inch squares. We've all got little pieces that size. And this one too, the Flying Geese. Isn't that fun? I love the different directions that it all goes. Anyways, it's just a really pretty book, and I just really fell in love with it on first sight. One more pattern in here that I really wanted to show y'all. Where are It is a beautiful book. You will absolutely love it. And there's nothing in here that is really tough. It is a pretty simple book of patterns, and 18 patterns in one book. That's a lot of patterns. So you guys, you know how to qualify for the giveaway. I want you all to share this video. If you're unfamiliar, if this is the first time that you've joined us, you've got 3 options underneath this video. Like, comment, and share, and you are just going to go ahead and share. How are we doing now?
You'll have to re-say the book thing. I was fixing the Wi-Fi because it was blurry. So redo the the prize.
Okay, so announcement take 2. Giveaway announcement. This is my giveaway today, guys. This Charm School book. It is a really great book full of simple patterns and beautiful patterns. It is for 5-inch squares, which I know you all have in your stash, whether it's currently yardage and you have to cut it into 5-inch squares, or whether you just have a ton of pre-cuts, then you will be able to use up this book. And you know how to qualify for the giveaway. You're going to share this video, and at the end of the show, I will choose one of you, or Landon will choose one of you, and we will ship this out to you. All right, guys? So go ahead and share the video. Now, the last cool thing that I want to show you is this method that we came across in Houston for making half square triangles. Now, a lot of you may have seen this before. This was my first time seeing it, so of course now I am just all excited and need to show you all about it. I've been working on this quilt made of half square triangles, and half square triangles are one of my very favorite things, but let's admit they are labor intensive and they take a little bit of time. So anything that we can do with half square triangles to make it faster is a good thing. Normally when we're doing half square triangles, we're going to draw our line on the back side of the fabric, and we're going to match that with a print, then we're going to sew on either side, and then we're going to cut up the center. I find that one of the most time-consuming parts, the drawing of the lines. So this tiger tape is for doing half square triangles. And if you, can I see on that side there, Al? If you look closely, you can see that it's really just kind of a herringbone design, strip up the center, and then angled lines coming off of that center strip. And what we're going to do is just lay it out on the back side of our fabric from point to point. And then you're still going to layer that with your print fabric, but now you're going to sew on either side of the tape. From center, the edge of the tape is 1/4 inch. I just think this is so brilliant. So I don't have to do any marking whatsoever. And then when the time comes that I've done my 2 seams on either side, then I'm just going to make my cut up the center, and before I know it, I'm going to have a whole pile of half square triangles. So that stuff is called tiger tape for half square triangles. And it comes with 2 rolls, each 15 yards. So that's a fair amount of tiger tape to get you going in the right direction. And I know that I am looking forward to using that on the rest of this project, because it has stalled a little bit due to all that darn marking that I was forced to do to get my awesome little half square triangles. So we can set all that stuff aside. If you had any questions about any of those products, please feel free to leave them there in the comments, and I will try to answer them at the end. All right, so have you been to the website at sparrowquiltco.com and downloaded your free version of the Undone quilt pattern? This will be your last week to get it for free. Once we move on to the new quilt, the free pattern will be replaced, and this one will then be for sale on the website. So get it now while you can and follow along in the fun. The version that you see behind me was made with Thrive fabric, designed by Natalia Bonner and Kathleen Whitting. They are 2 gals, mother and daughter from Utah, and they designed that line of fabric for Moda. We recently had Natalia up here in January teaching one of her own quilt patterns, and she's a really great girl. She was a lot of fun to have around. But today, the version that we're working on is going to be in reds, blacks, and grays. And on Friday, I showed you how we were going to cut all the setting triangles for the outer edge of the quilt. If you've noticed, this quilt is on point, and that means that we've taken a square and we've turned it slightly so that the design is on point. That's what it's called when we make it into a diamond instead of a square. So we have to be very careful about how we cut those triangles, because that is a bias edge. biased edge means stretchy or cut on the diagonal in technical terms. So we want to add those extra little steps to ensure that things go as planned, and you can learn how to do that in the pattern. If you're still unsure, then go back and watch the prior video from Friday. We keep all of our videos on the website under a section called Stash Busters, and so you can just find that link, go to the Stash Busters page, and you can see all the prior videos that we've done on this quilt and all the prior patterns that we've done so far this year. If you want to check us out on YouTube, that is also an option, and you can find on YouTube some short and sweet block tutorials where I just get right to the point. It's not 90 minutes of me yapping, so if short and sweet is more your style, more your attention span, then please check out the Quilt Block Studio videos where you can just see the instructional portion without all the fluff that I do on these Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Hopefully you've been watching all along, but if this is your first time joining us, then we stream live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and we would love for you to join us. But don't worry if you are working or you have other commitments. Just go ahead and watch the video a little bit later when you get home. And of course, I always encourage you to sew while you are watching with me, because that gives you something to do too. So I had planned all weekend long to catch up on my sewing so that I could start putting this quilt together today. And it was a long weekend, so the children were home Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And when the weather got a little bit nice, we just got outside. I took everybody yesterday to the ravine and let them run around in the trees and encouraged them to roll around in the snow, and that brought them home absolutely exhausted. So I'm sure you other mummies out there can understand and relate to that, why that was a priority. So we're just going to get right back to square one is what I'm getting at. I had several 9 patches that I had begun, and now they just need to be put all together. So I'm just going to keep on going with my sewing, and if you have any questions about the pattern, please feel free to ask there, and I am just going to get at it. I've already pinned these ones together, and then once I have these 9 patches completed, we will do our disappearing 9 patch trick and slice those up the center. Now hopefully you've been watching along so far, but if you're just joining us, then don't forget to share the video so that you can qualify for the book giveaway. We're giving away a book called Charm School today, and it's a pretty one.
How many fabrics are in a jelly roll?
Oh, in a jelly roll. So the question is, how many fabrics are in a jelly roll? It depends on the collection itself. Typically there are 42 strips in a jelly roll, but there could be as few as 20 fabrics, and there may be just repeats. Junior jelly rolls are half the size, and I think they only have 20 strips. And when I discuss pre-cuts, I kind of generalize, and I also I describe them in the way that Moda packages them. I don't know if all manufacturers do them exactly the same. That may not be the case, but I am such a lover of Moda fabrics that is, you know, kind of where my love of pre-cuts originated. And so those are the ones that I know the best.
At what point do you square your 9 patch blocks?
What was that?
At what point do you square your 9 patch blocks?
That's a great question. So at what point do we square the 9 patch blocks? I think once we got them, so when we did our first cut, how big were these? Sheila tells you in the pattern where to do it. So we're going to put the 9 patch together, and then we're going to slice it on the vertical and the horizontal, and then that's the point, I think, where she told you to square them. I'm going to look really quick just to see. Square them all to 7 inches. So yeah, before After we finish making the 9 patch and then we slice it in 4, that's where we're going to square them. And then you're going to trim it. You're going to make it into another 9 patch, and it's going to look like this. And you're going to square it again to 10 inches at that point. So I guess at every step, we're squaring. But it's always worth it. It's always worth it to square your blocks. It always feels like a lot of work, and I always ponder not doing it, but it's worth it every time. I do highly recommend it. Have you ever made a quilt and not squared the blocks and seen the effects of it? I'll bet you have. We've all done it once. The important thing is to learn from that and move forward. Be better tomorrow than you were today, right?
Do you want to mention Tuesday's tool Q&A?
So we were just thinking over the weekend, we get a lot of questions, and sometimes I'm not able to address them right here in the stream. Okay, my tension is bad. I'm going to have to rethread my machine. So we're going to start a Tuesday tool Q&A, and tomorrow we will do a little video where we take questions on all the products that you see us using, and by us I mean me, in these videos. So if you have a specific question, then make sure that you tune in tomorrow.
We'll be doing the glow edge rulers, strip cutting rulers.
Tomorrow we're going to be working on the glow edge or strip cutting rulers. So if you have any questions, be sure to tune in for that, and I will do my best to address your questions. I'm glad I noticed right away that my stitches weren't good, so I'm going to rethread my machine. That's always my first step. If my stitches aren't good, we're just going to rethread, and I will pull out the bobbin. And yeah, I can see that my bobbin thread wasn't even in the track that it was supposed to be, so it is not going to behave like it should. There we go.
What time tomorrow?
I'm not sure what time tomorrow. Maybe we should do the same time as always. 10:30? Okay. Yeah. So let's plan for 10:30 tomorrow, guys, for our Q&A session on the glow edge rulers. Okay, let's give these another stitch. I'm going to remove my pins this time because they're already held in place with my crappy seam I just sewed.
How bad was it?
Oh, it's just laying right on top. You can't even see any definition of the stitches at all. It's just a straight line. It was noticeable. All right, let's give this another try. Oh, and my bobbin stitches look terrible. Take 2. But the good thing is that will just pull out. It won't even be hard to remove that.
Yeah, you pull out the tight top stitch. If you're going to have bad tension, go all bad.
That's right.
Full bad.
If you're going to have bad tension, go full out bad tension.
It's easier to remove.
Yeah, at least it's easier to get it out.
Nancy wants to know if this is on YouTube.
This will be on YouTube. Currently, it is just streaming live on Facebook, but we will add it up to YouTube at the end of the show. We put all of our videos over on YouTube as well. So on YouTube, our username is Sparrow Studios, and that is Studios with a Z at the end. We have to change that over to Sparrow Quilt Co, but that may help you find us. All right. I don't like doing things twice, but if I have to do it twice to protect the integrity of my project, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm not the kind of quilter that's going to kill herself to get it perfect, but I am going to try at least twice to get it good if it doesn't turn out right the first time. I can be pretty fussy, but I can also be very forgiving. I think sometimes we have to be, because otherwise it can drive us a little bit crazy trying to get it just right. And I feel the same way about laying out your quilts, you know, the blocks. I'm not even going to worry about trying to pull that out. Let's see. Good. That looks just fine. So we got 2 more 9 patches to add to our pile. And once we cut them apart, they're going to look like this block that you see here. And then we sew it once more into another 9 patch that yields those guys over there. But we're going to keep going on just the basic 9 patch for now, because that is step 1. So let's get her done. Oh gosh, I can't even believe I just said that.
Get her done?
Get her done. Not my favorite saying in the world. Alright, so today I am using my fork pins. As you all know, I am a huge fan of fork pins. They just keep everything lined up so nicely and give me perfect points and perfect intersections. If you've watched any of my videos before, you're already nodding your head saying, yes, we know about the fork pins. There we go. And once we get all these 9 patches done, then we will slice them down the center and slice them sideways. If you're not familiar with the disappearing 9 patch technique, you can watch the prior video. Or just hang in with me. We'll be doing it in a minute or so. Remember to line up your corners before you get there so that everything is nice and accurate.
What is a fork pin?
I knew that question was coming. What is a fork pin? Let me show you. How's that view? Can I see that there?
A little closer. Yeah.
So this is a fork pin, guys. You can see it is a U-shaped pin with 2 sharp, very fine points, and it is fantastic for bringing your points together just right and making sure that your intersections work out. Here I've already sewn across my pin, but you can see how I applied it just on either side of this seam that runs on the vertical. And I'm just going to make sure that my intersections line up nicely underneath with the right sides facing each other, and then I just pin on either side. And there's something about that U at the top that just brings your 2 seams together, and they just meet so perfectly in the middle, and then we get really great accurate points. And you can see when I open that up how my corners are just lined up really, really well.
Gwen says, you don't know you need fork pins until you see them, then wish you had them for the project you were working on.
It's so true. Gwen says you don't know you need them till you see them. And I totally agree. I've done several Bargellos, and it just saved my butt over and over again. One of my students in my Bargello class hates pinning, like just hates pinning, period. And when she was finished her Bargello, and I suspect she did not use them throughout the process anyways, she gifted me with all of her fork pins at the end because she said she's never going to use those GD fork pins again. And that's fine. That is fine. They're her quilts. She's allowed to do what she wants with them, just like you are allowed to do what you want with your quilts. You bought the fabric. You put in the time. You do what you want with it. Don't be letting any quilt police boss you around. Okay. But you can find those at SparrowQuiltCo.com. I'm sure they've already shared the link in the comments there, and they are just so great. I do highly recommend slowing down when you're sewing and, walking your needle over them nice and slow. If you're uncomfortable sewing over pins, then just go ahead and pull them out. Whatever you are comfortable with is what I want you to do. personally have never had an issue with breaking a needle or a pin. I've hit a few pins, I'm not gonna lie. I've never broken a needle over it. But I have been around people who have, and I suspect it's because they were speed demon sewing. Just going too fast.
Barbara's got 3 light blocks left to make for this quilt, and then gets to square them and put them all together.
Yay, Barbara says she's got 3 of the light blocks left to make, and then it's time to square and put it all together. Good for you, Barbara. I am happy to hear that. People always comment and say, you have 10 children, how do you find time to sew? And it's not that I find time to sew, I make time to sew because it makes me happy. And it's something that stays done. Ever since I started quilting, I have been saying that, you know, you do the dishes and then you dirty them, and you make your bed and then you sleep in it. None of our chores ever stay done, but making a quilt, it stays done. It stays done. And I love that because it just gives me a sense of accomplishment. And I think we all need that sometimes in this busy, crazy life of ours where we never feel caught up. If you finish a quilt, you're done. You're caught up. It's complete. And yes, I do consider binding optional, to be honest with you. But even when I get to the point where the binding is not on it yet, I still feel great about having finished something because it is an accomplishment. Quilting is not easy. You guys know that. I'm sure of it.
Dad just called himself a domestic goddess.
Who did?
Dad.
Is he in the...
Yeah. And she has a domestic goddess for a husband.
It's true. Yesterday, my Maddie got up and he said, let's plan a birthday dinner for Ryan, who is Landon's fiance. They're getting married in June. And it was his birthday last Wednesday, which we didn't have time to celebrate just because, you know, life, busy, etc. So he got up and he texted all of the family, let's have a birthday dinner for Ryan. And then he went out shopping, and then he came home and he cooked his little butt off all darn day, made the best roast I think I've ever had. So thank you, my domestic goddess. And he's good looking too. His mom raised him really well. Grandma Flo is also a domestic goddess.
She's the original domestic goddess.
That's right. the OG domestic goddess. Okay. So I always like to lay my stuff out repeatedly to make sure that I'm staying on track. Otherwise, I just lose track of what I'm up to. So I will sew a row at a time, and then I'll come back and make sure that it is done properly. And that just helps me stay organized and make sure that I'm doing things correctly.
It says the mic cut out. Can she repeat that?
What's that?
It says the mic cut out. Can she repeat that?
Oh.
Beth says if she doesn't have her chores done by 12:45, it's too bad. It's time to watch Bradie.
Aw, Beth, that's so awesome. It'll wait for you, Beth. That's the good thing. It'll wait. They'll always wait. And to you, Maddie, just so you can hear it again, you're the best. I love you, and thank you for all that you do.
Laura says that her hubby knows not to call when Bradie's on because she won't answer.
Oh, Laura. That's so sweet, Laura. I feel so grateful for those of you that join me session after session. I'm really starting to feel like I've got so many friends far and wide. Look, I'm even starting to cry. Stop it. Mm-hmm. I'm a big baby, just so you all know. I cry at the drop of a hat. Takes nothing to get me going. Okay. So this quilt looks really tricky. I know, this Undone quilt pattern that's on the wall behind me. And the fact that it's on point really lends to that look of, you know, making it look really tricky. but it's simple. It is so, so simple. Look how quick and easy these 9-patch blocks are that I am putting together. And in just a moment, you'll see how I slice them on the vertical and the horizontal to make it into 4 new blocks. And then I'm going to take those blocks and make them into a whole nother 9-patch. But this quilt's going to make you look really good because it looks tricky, but it's not. It is so simple. And I'm quite excited to see this one come together because I love flannel, like I love plaid. I have a lot of plaid in my wardrobe this year. And I just think it's going to be so awesome to see this quilt finished in my very favorite type of design. Nine patches are so simple and you can do such neat things with them. And I love anything with a chain type of effect. So, you know, Irish chain, that sort of thing. Even that chandelier book that I was showing you, or that chandelier pattern in the book that I was showing you earlier, that's kind of got a chain look. I love that type of thing. So you may see one of those down the road. We'll see. All right, so these ones are not pressed, and I am going to go ahead and do that before I put the rows together. So let's pay attention here. When I pressed them, the prior ones, I pressed these top and bottom rows out, and I pressed this middle row in. So I'm going to keep that same rule going. And we'll just quickly give these a press. We doing okay for questions and stuff there? Mm-hmm. Anybody sharing any design wall?
So, there's quite a few design floors.
Ooh, design floor. I know, I've got one of those too.
Flannel sheets pinned to walls. I didn't see any actual design wall names or anything.
Okay. I do like the flannel sheet pinned to the wall type of idea. I do have a quilt stand here, so there's a bar that goes across on the horizontal there. That's what I almost hung up this morning, and then I realized, wait, I didn't do any sewing this weekend. I've got nothing to put on my design wall. So that kind of put a little stick in the wheel, but hopefully for Wednesday we can make enough progress that I can start laying this quilt out in some way so we can get a good look at how it's going to turn out. But just sewing that little corner together the other day, that got me excited because you can start to see it coming together. All right, so that one went to center. This top one is going to go out. And just remember to set your seams before you press it open. It's going to press that thread into the fabric a little bit more and take up less space. Use the finest thread that you can when you're piecing.
And Pam lays hers out on a spare bed.
Oh, on a spare bed. That's a good idea. I don't really have any spare beds, but they're all taken up by children in this house. Though we do only have 7 kids living at home now. Landon lives with her fiancé, and the next 2 kids, they live in our old house. But still 7 at home. It's still a busy house, that's for sure.
Is it 2 different blacks that you're using? Yeah, you've got a gray and a black. Sometimes when it gets fuzzy, they blend together.
Oh, yeah. So I've got a very dark gray, which is a linen, and a black that I'm currently using in this set of 9 patches. So I've taken that top row and I've laid it right sides facing onto my middle row, and now I'm going to sew from this direction over. When I go to add this bottom row, I will bring it up and put it right sides facing, and I will sew from this direction. I like to alternate my direction of sewing because that gives me a more square block and avoids distortion or warping, which is very frustrating, and I didn't understand that in my early sewing days. But once you experience it and you cannot fix it, you pay attention real quick after that.
Gwen uses a foam board covered in flannel attached to one wall.
Ooh, I like that idea. We did that in our old studio, actually. We had like some really thick styrofoam and wrapped those with fabric. And then quilters could pin their items to the wall during classes.
What is the name of the quilt book you're giving away today?
The name of the quilt book I'm giving away, I'm going to grab it and keep it handy to show you all again. So in case you missed that or you're just joining us, the quilt book I'm giving away today is called Charm School, and it's got 18 patterns in it, and they're all beautiful. Like, I want to make every single one of them, which doesn't happen very often. The designer is Vanessa Gertzen, and she has done a lot of really popular moda lines that you may have seen lately. One of them was called Olive's Flower Garden. I couldn't even get that. I was so late to the game trying to order it. I couldn't even get pre-cuts. I couldn't even get a bolt of fabric. It was that popular. And all her fabric lines have been like that. So she must be a good little designer. Seems to be very popular. Hopefully I'll have better luck next time. Maybe she'll do Olive's Flower Garden Part 2 or something. You know, sometimes when the lines are really popular, they'll revive them with a different name or something. That's the sad thing about fabric, isn't it? It's usually just a one-shot deal, so if you want it, you better get it while you can. But I always check out quilt shops in my travels. You never know what you're going to find in some remote little quilt shop somewhere in a little town or something. It's not everybody puts their stuff online for sale, so you can get really lucky if you're willing to put in the time and check out those little quilt shops, and I always do. Our friend Claudia, who came from Germany, we've taken her out to BC several times and traveled around with her, and she and I would visit all the quilt shops. And it's so funny, she's a quilt shop owner in Germany and I'm a shop owner in Edmonton, yet we still had no trouble spending our money in other quilt shops. When you love it, you love it. Oh, did you hear that? I hit a pin.
I heard it.
No break though. Now hopefully you've been watching all along, but if you are just joining us, we're working on a quilt pattern called Undone, and it is just like the one you see behind me on the wall, but we are doing it in a whole different colorway. This one will be reds and grays, and we're trying to kind of mimic a buffalo plaid type of look. Going for our lumberjack, embracing our inner lumberjacks here today. And you can find all our prior videos on our website at sparrowquiltco.com. You're going to look for the Stash Buster section, and you'll be able to find all the videos there, plus all the products that we use in our videos. You can check us out on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is called Sparrow Studios, and we've also got the short and sweet version of each of the quilt blocks there, where we just get right to the point and just show you exactly the quilt block only. And you can also just watch us live here on Facebook, 10:30 a.m. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we're also adding a video on Tuesdays, where we're going to do a Q&A on different tools. Tomorrow will be the Glow Edge strip cutting rulers, and we will start at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I hope that you will join us and ask all your questions.
You mentioned giving away a quilt book. How does someone win that?
Oh, so how to win the quilt book that I'm giving away. You're going to share the video that you're watching. Underneath the video is 3 options: to like, to comment, and to share. I hope you'll also like us, and I hope you'll leave us a comment. But to be entered for the giveaway, you're going to share. So just click that and hit post, and that will share with all your Facebook friends what you're up to. And then your Facebook friends who are quilters can also join in on the fun. And I believe you can share it multiple times. So you can go ahead and do that if you like. All right, so just for some fun to mix it up, I'm going to switch to cutting the few squares that I have ready. I better press them off first. And I'm not going to do more than one at a time. I'm just going to cut a single block each time. That way I can make sure that everything is accurate. His accuracy, we all know, is so important in quilting, right from the first step of cutting to the piecing, to the squaring, all of it. You need accuracy in every step. And here I'm just pressing this one a little bit. It was almost not folded open quite enough. So I press that a little bit harder to make sure. Yeah, in here the fabric was just kind of rolling and it wasn't open all the way, but it looks better now. And I hope all of you are sewing while you're watching. Who's sewing while you're watching? Raise your hand. Just kidding. Leave me a comment. I wish I could see you guys. That would be fun. I could see you all on a little screen and see what you're up to as well. Be like a conference call.
Gina says her daughter wants to make this quilt.
Oh, cool. Who, Gina?
Mm-hmm.
Gina says her daughter wants to make this quilt. Hopefully she finds the videos helpful. The pattern is very thorough. Sheila did a really good job writing it up. Her husband made all these nice little vector diagrams to go into the pattern to show step by step how to make your way through it. And I just find those diagrams are very helpful. Sometimes our photos don't turn out as good as we want them to. And so those diagrams are really helpful.
Belinda says she'd have to get dressed if you could see us.
I suspect that might be the case. Someone was saying that they have to get dressed if we could see them. You'd rather stay anonymous, I'm sure. I get it.
Lots of people quilting. Libby quilted all morning, sewed all morning.
Good job, Libby, quilting all morning.
Terry is sewing while watching. She's making tote bags.
Ooh, Terry's making tote bags. I don't have the patience for bags. I made a bag.
Some of them turn out so cool that like it's motivating, but also mine would not turn out cool. So
Lanning's just saying that bags are so cool and there's so many neat patterns out there, but she's not sure hers would turn out so great. And you know, it really is a lot of layers sometimes, and the corners, and sometimes there's little accessories that you have to attach, and it just is a whole new skill set. And I find it to be a little bit fussier than I like. So I did make a Amy Butler weekender bag, and I gave it to Miss Landon, and I don't think that I would make another one. It was pretty, well, and I overdid it too, right? Like being an overachiever, I quilted with my domestic machine every single piece.
Well, it's going to last a lot longer now because of that.
Yeah, Landon's saying it's going to last a lot longer, which is a fair and valid point, but I probably tripled the amount of time that it should have taken versus had I just made it. All right, now I need my rotary cutter, so I'm going to show you how to make this into a disappearing 9-patch. We're going to do a cut straight up the center, and we're going to do a cut straight across the center on both the vertical and the horizontal. And the block itself measures 4.5, that center section. So I want to cut it at 2.25. So I'm going to find my 2.25 marking on my ruler, and I'm going to line up that with my left of center seam. Once I've found that, I'm also going to double check my horizontal seams to make sure that my cut is in fact square to the block itself. I don't want it to look like I'm on 2.25, but the rest of the block is kind of, you know, off. Then I'd have to make it all over again, which is hardly the end of the world, but it's just a pain in my butt. So we'll go ahead, slice up the center there. And then we're going to turn the ruler and do the same thing on the vertical. We're going to line up the 2.25 with this seam that's below center. And I'm also checking my vertical seams to make sure that I am square. And we look really good here. So I'm just going to go ahead and slice it that way. And now you can see that I have got 4 smaller blocks. And at this point, this is where you could take them and square them down to 7 inches. That one looks really good. I'm not going to claim it's perfect, but they all look really good. So I'll just set these aside and I will continue cutting the remaining 3 that I've got here. And just a reminder, guys, if you are interested in the Undone pattern, I want you to grab it this week while you still can. Next week, we will replace it with the next pattern, so you won't be able to get it anymore, at least not for free. You'll still be able to purchase it on the website there. And all of our prior patterns that we've done are also on the website now. So even if you did miss the free download of the pattern, you can still purchase it there.
Nancy says her design wall is the size of a door, and it has like rods on it that hook over the door so that you can kind of move it around.
Oh, that's kind of neat. Be really careful when you're lifting the ruler there. You don't want to disturb the pieces that you've just cut. You want them to stay exactly where they are so you can cut this way. Landon was just telling me that Quilter Nancy has a design wall that goes over her door, and it's the size of the door, but she can,
it's portable, which is nice.
She can move it around. That is a nice thing. All right, so we're lined up at the 2.25. My vertical lines are square as well. So we'll just go ahead and slice across there.
Does this block fit on the roundabout?
This block is too big for the roundabout, I think. Otherwise, I would definitely have it on there. Spinning it around. And once we turn this into the next 9 patch, the blocks get really big. I can't do the horizontal cut on my mat anymore because it is just too large for this surface. Okay. So we are just slicing these blocks to create a disappearing 9 patch. And then we're going to sew them once more into another 9 patch. And then that process becomes the double disappearing 9 patch, which I didn't even know existed. I really had a tough time wrapping my brain around this pattern, and that's what I mean when I say it looks so tricky. When Sheila first showed it to me, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that one. But it is surprisingly easy, and it just looks really intricate, so it's going to make you look really good when you finish up this quilt. It kind of looks like a lattice, doesn't it? A lot of people suggested that name. So a disappearing 9 patch, traditionally what we would do is alternate the direction of 2 of the corner blocks. And then you could sew it back together like that. And it just gives you that really neat look. Remember earlier I was talking about the chandelier pattern in the Charm School book, and it went large square, small, small, large square. I really love that look, kind of a chain. So that's making me very happy about this quilt. Now don't forget to share the video, guys, so that you can be entered to win the Charm School book. It's a beautiful book. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I buy all these quilt books and they sit on my shelf. I'm always trying to innovate my own pattern because I'm always trying to just make something work that I have on hand. And it feels like I rarely use a real pattern. It's been so great to have Sheila on the team, helping with the design of them and stuff. Okay, so I've got my 2.25 lined up and I'm going to go ahead and make this cut. I'm already planning my roast beef sandwich for lunch.
Karen wants to know if the download will expire for the patterns. I don't think it does.
Oh, so Karen is asking if the download will expire for the books. I think as long as you get to the website and put your email address in there, you'll receive an email reply with the pattern attached. But no, that won't expire. That'll just live in your email until you delete it or move it to the junk folder. Put it in the trash bin. All right, so there you can see that is the outer squares, and then the next step
is the charm book on the website.
Yeah, it sure is. The Charm School book is also on the website, so if you don't win one today, you can purchase your own there. Like I mentioned, the publisher sent us a double shipment. I'm not sure what went wrong there, but I got a lot of Charm School books. So this will be our next 9 patch, and we will bring in this brick color, and those will fill in our empty spaces. But you can see how that will now create another 9 patch. And then once we sew these together, again, we will cut on the vertical and horizontal, and that will give us that second stage of block. And then again, once you get them to this point, this is where you'll square them down to 10 inches. All right, I was gonna sew this, but then I realized I still had a couple more 9 patches to build, so let's get back to step 1, Bradie with the fruit fly brain. Let's stay focused and do 1 step at a time. I hope that you are going to share your pattern photos. We did get a couple of them over the weekend. We had, gosh, I can't remember the first gal's name, but we had Christine Deering shared hers. She did blues and she had some hints of yellowy orange in there. So check that out in the Sparrow Quilt Co daily group. And we also had one finished from Cheryl Cannell. Did she post hers in the group there too, Elle?
Yeah.
Remember? And she's a local lady. We see a fair amount of her and she always comes in. She's been following along like a trooper. She made almost houndstooth. I'm not sure if she did stay centered too, but I just love seeing your guys' quilts. It makes me so proud. It's like seeing your kids going out into the world and accomplishing great things. Pardon me. Let's get a quick drink here. So I always love when you send pictures and share your versions of the quilt. Terry took almost houndstooth and really made it her own. She created her own layout, which was really cool. It created a really neat star effect. So take those ideas, make them your own. I had done another pattern in the past. It was called window panes. Oh, I should take that one out. Maybe we'll do a stash buster on that. And our friend Deb Doman down in Calgary appliqued skeletons all over it. She really made it her own. And I just love that. You know, you never know what other people are going to come up with. Let's go ahead and layer these babies up.
What size do the 9 patches work out to?
This big 9 patch is going to end up being 14 inches. And then once it goes to the next stage, it's a 20-inch block. But then, of course, we're trimming them down. I'm short one red square. You guys probably noticed that I threw one aside. It's got salvage in it. I don't think I'm going to be able to use that because the salvage comes down to here. I'm going to have to cut a whole nother strip just to get one little square. Ah. Oh well, it's not the end of the world. And guess what? I've got more fabric. There's always more fabric. Well, I'm quite surprised, Elle, that it's already the time it is. So maybe do you want to choose a winner for us of the Charm School book, please?
One last chance to share. We had a couple questions just like right now.
Okay, guys, go ahead and share one more time. That gives you one more chance to enter for the book giveaway, and Lannon's going to give us a couple of questions. After she yawns, we're keeping her up. It's Monday morning, right?
No, the questions were how do they enter to get the book?
Oh, okay. So the question was, how do I enter the giveaway to win the book? So you're just going to share the video. Share the video that you're watching. And make sure that you come back and join us again on Wednesday, okay? 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We'll keep chipping away at the Undone quilt. And tomorrow, if you have any questions on the glow edge strip cutting rulers, I'm going to demonstrate how to cut out some unique shapes and show you that a quilt that I've already made. I've talked about it a few times, so some of you probably already know.
Oh, Carolyn says she can imagine flowers applicate onto the lattice type quilt behind you.
Ooh. MyrLene?
Carolyn.
Carol says?
Carolyn.
Carol or Carolyn?
Carolyn.
Carolyn has suggested that she can see some flowers appliqued on this quilt, and that is awesome. I love it. It is so inspiring to hear everybody's ideas. There's never just one way of doing things, is there? Sometimes we think we know the best way, and then someone shows you another way, and you're like, oh, that way might be better. And that's why it's always good to take a class or to watch a video and learn the tips and tricks. So before I finish that very last 9 patch, I'm going to have to cut some more fabric, and would you believe it, I just took it back to the shop on the weekend. Hauled all those bolts of fabric back. Someone was commenting on one of my other videos saying, why are you cutting off the bolt? What happened to pre-washing? I don't pre-wash. Not ever. I hate it. But it doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. If you like to pre-wash, then do it. It's your fabric. I'm the one that's going to have quilts that bleed. So just don't wash them ever. I'm just kidding. The quilt that I gave my 2 little guys, holy moly, I couldn't believe how filthy they are already. But they drag them around, they love them, that's the whole idea. That's what I want. All right, I'm going to sew this last one, and then we're going to announce a winner, okay? Announce a winner of this beautiful Charm School book. And when I choose the winner, I want you to send me a private message on Facebook. Use the direct message inbox on the Facebook page. Don't share all your private information on the video.
Lisa Lawrence Laurel.
Say that again?
Lisa Lawrence Laurel.
Lisa Lawrence Laurel?
Laurel, yeah.
Laurel. Lisa, you're our winner today. So please, Lisa, would you send us a private message here on the Facebook page? I would like your email address, your phone number, and your shipping address, and we will get an order entered into the system for you, and we will get that shipped out. All right, everybody, just a quick recap. The pattern we've been working on is called Undone. You want to download that pattern for free at sparrowquiltco.com. You're just going to click on the banner across the top of the page. It'll take you to another page where you can enter your email address, and we will reply with an email with the pattern attached. I need you to do that before the weekend, because on the weekend we're changing to a new quilt pattern, and this one will no longer be free, okay? If you're following along and you've already made your quilt, I want you to post it in the Sparrow Quilt Co daily group or email it to us at info@sparrowquiltco.com. We want to share it so that everyone can see how awesome you are and how great your quilt looks. Okay? Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow if you've got questions on the strip cutting rulers. That'll be at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we'll be back working on the Undone quilt Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Thanks again for watching the Sparrow Quilt Company Stash Buster series, everybody. It was great to spend some time with you, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye for now.